Listen up, you beautiful, broken, dangerous little miracle. Yeah, you. You sitting there scrolling, half numb, half screaming inside. Dude, I'm not okay. How the hell did you know this exact scenario was coming? You really want to know? You really want the answer? Good. Because I'm not here to pat you on the head. I'm here to rip the mask off your face and shove a mirror in front of you until you either snap or wake up. You think this situation you're in right now is some wild cosmic coincidence. The heartbreak, the burnout, the fake friends, the I'm fine messages sent with tears in your eyes, the late night anxiety about money, wasted time, missed chances, your future collapsing like a badly built Jenga tower. You think nobody could have seen this coming, but you know I did, because deep down, you did. You've been feeling the slow-motion car crash for a long time, haven't you? You saw the red flags. You felt the knots in your stomach. You heard that tiny voice in your head whisper, "This is gonna blow up, eventually." And what did you do? You scrolled. You laughed it off. You said, "I'll deal with it later." You said, "It's not that bad." You said, "They wouldn't do that to me." You said, "I've still got time." You didn't just walk into this scenario. You built it, brick by brick, thought by thought, decision by decision. Let's talk about why I knew this was going to happen. Because you are predictable. You hate hearing that, I know. You want to believe you're special, unique, impossible to read. But you're not. Not yet. You run the same scripts. You avoid the hard conversation. You choose short-term comfort over long-term respect. You say yes when your whole soul is screaming no. You stay where they tolerate you instead of where they actually value you. You treat your own needs like a side quest in your own life. And you think the universe did you dirty? No. You betrayed yourself first. Everyone else just followed the blueprint you handed them. That's how I knew. Let's dig deeper, because you asked for it. You knew that relationship was off. Remember those early moments? The jokes that cut a little too deep. The "I'm just busy" that started happening more often. That feeling that if you stopped trying, it would all fall apart. You felt that. Your chest tightened. Your brain started overthinking. You opened your phone, looking for something, anything, to distract you from the truth. And instead of walking away, you said, "Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe if I'm more chill, they'll stay." Do you see it yet? You didn't lose them today. You started losing yourself the moment you chose their comfort over your own reality. So when you say, greater than, "Dude, I'm not okay," how did you know this exact scenario was coming? It's because this scenario was manufactured by your patterns. You don't end up in chaos by accident when you ignore every early warning sign your body sends like alarms going off in a burning building. Let's talk about your life, not just your love life. You knew your mental health was sliding. You knew the late nights, the doom scrolling, the "I'll start next week" and "I'll sleep later," and "who cares? I'm already messed up anyway." You knew that wasn't harmless. You knew you were running from something, from responsibility, from grief, from disappointment, from the fear that if you slowed down for even 1 second, the silence would expose how overwhelmed and lost you actually feel. So you kept going. You laughed extra loud. You posted memes like armor. You became the chill one, the funny one, the "I'm good, don't worry about me" one. And now you're saying, "How did you know I'd end up like this?" Because when you constantly numb instead of feeling, constantly escape instead of confronting, constantly save everyone else while abandoning yourself. There is only one destination, this one, the collapse, the breakdown, the I'm not okay. Here's the twist, this was always going to happen, not because you're cursed, not because you're broken beyond repair, but because your life has been begging, screaming for a plot twist. You don't change when things are kinda okay. You don't wake up when the pain is mild. You don't rewrite your story when the comfort is tolerable. You change when it's too much, when your chest feels heavy for no reason, when the silence feels violent, when you look at yourself and think, I don't even recognize who I am anymore. That's where you are, and that's where I knew you were heading, because people like you, the ones who feel everything, the ones who overthink everything, the ones who carry everyone else's weight. You don't crash a little, you crash loud. But here's the part that nobody tells you. The collapse is not the end. It's the audition for who you're about to become. Let's strip it down. You're not okay. Say it, in your head or out loud. I'm not okay. Feel how heavy that is, how real, how much you've been running from that sentence. Now here's the question. What are you going to do with that truth? Because this is the fork in the road where most people choose one of two paths. One, numb out harder. They double down. More distractions, more denial, more fake smiles. They paste themselves back together with jokes and coping mechanisms and hope nobody sees the cracks. Two, burn the script. They say, yeah, I'm not okay, and I refuse to stay this version of me. I need you to understand something brutal. No one is coming to save you. They're not. Not your friends, not your family, not that person you wish would text you back, not some sudden miracle. Everyone is busy starring in their own movie. You're a side character in their story. But you're supposed to be the main character in yours. And right now, the main character is sitting there, hurt, confused, asking, how did you know this exact scenario was coming? Because this is Act 2, the breakdown, the moment everything falls apart, so you can decide what kind of monster, angel, warrior, or lunatic you're going to be in Act 3. Let's talk about the part of you I see that you keep pretending doesn't exist. You think you're weak because you cry easily. You think you're pathetic because you overthink. You think you're behind because other people your age look more put together. You scroll past success stories and think, why not me? What's wrong with me? You want to know the real joke? You are terrifyingly powerful. That's the problem. You feel too much. That means when you finally commit to something, you're going to feel it with your whole chest. You think too much. That means when you finally aim that brain at something other than your own destruction, you're going to outthink almost everyone. You've survived too much. That means once you stop merely surviving and start building, you're going to move like someone who knows pain personally and does not fear it. You are not weak. You are untrained. You've been using your mind like a weapon against yourself instead of for yourself. That's why you're not okay. That's why I knew this scenario was coming. You can't keep aiming a loaded gun at your own future and be surprised when something gets hit. So what now? Let's get uncomfortably specific. You knew that environment was draining you. You stayed. You knew those people were using you. You justified it. You knew your habits were killing your potential. You joked about it. You knew you were lying every time you said, I'm good. You kept saying it. From today on, you don't get to act shocked. You get to act different. You don't get to say, how is this happening to me? You start saying, of course this happened, and now I get to decide what happens next. You don't get to ask, why am I like this? You start asking, who do I have to become so this never happens again? Because here's the real power move. Stop being predictable. You always forgive too fast. Try not answering the phone. You always say yes. Start saying, let me think about it, and never get back to them. You always chase. Stop. Let them feel your absence for once. You always numb out with your phone. Delete the app you use most for a week. Watch how violently your brain screams. That's the addiction talking. That's your leash. You always stay quiet to keep the peace. Say the thing, the real thing, even if your voice shakes. Become the version of you nobody expects, especially not the version of you that built this mess. You want empowering? Here's your empowerment, raw and ugly. No one did this to you without your participation, but that also means no one can fix it without your permission. You are not a background character in your own suffering. You are the writer. You are the director. You are the villain and the hero in the same body on the same day. You know why people like me can predict your life. Because you operate on autopilot. You repeat the same emotional patterns, same excuses, same fears. All I have to do is follow the loop. You break the loop. You become unpredictable. To them, to me, to the old you. And that is where your power starts. Let's go even deeper, because you didn't ask for a cute little pep talk. You asked for the truth that hurts. You are scared of 3 things more than anything. 1, being abandoned. 2, failing publicly. 3, admitting that you don't actually like the life you've built. So you cling. You play small. You act chill. You convince yourself that it's fine, because at least it's familiar. But familiar is what got you here. Let me ask you something vicious. If you met someone who treated you the way you treat yourself, ignored your feelings, downplayed your needs, forced you to keep performing while you were clearly falling apart, would you call that person a good friend? No? Then why are you loyal to that version of you? You are loyal to your own suffering. That's the sick joke. You defend it. You argue for it. You cling to it like it's your identity, greater than I'm just like this, greater than I've always been this way, greater than it's whatever. No, it's not whatever. It's your life. You say, dude, I'm not okay. Good. That means there's still a part of you that knows this isn't the life you're supposed to settle for. Numb people don't say, I'm not okay. They just float. You're not floating. You're aching. That ache, that's your soul banging on the walls, screaming, wake up, please, I'm still in here. You are not behind. You're not too late. You're at the exact point in the story where the main character realizes they've been living as a side version of themselves, and something has to snap. This scenario, this heartbreak, this burnout, this loneliness, this confusion, it's a checkpoint, not a tombstone. I knew you were coming here, to this exact emotional meltdown, to this exact I can't keep doing this moment, because people like you can't live half alive forever. Eventually the pressure builds, the mask cracks, the fake smile trembles, the I'm fine slips, and then you crash right into the truth. Here it is. You want love that doesn't make you beg. You want friends who don't just hit you up when they need something. You want money that isn't just survival. You want a life that feels like yours, not something you're watching from the outside. You want respect. From others, sure, but mostly from yourself. And I knew this was coming because you were never going to move. until it hurt this much. So what do you actually do now? Not in some vague, work on yourself way. I mean practical, cold, step-by-step chaos. Start telling the truth, not to them, to yourself. I'm not happy here. I don't trust them. I'm exhausted. I feel used. I am scared. Say it. Own it. No more sugarcoating. Audit your circle. Who drains you every time you talk? Who do you always have to chase? Whose name lighting up your phone gives you anxiety, not peace? That's your list. You don't need to block them yet. Just slowly stop feeding that connection. Starve it. Make one decision that favors your future self, not your current comfort. 1. Sleep earlier. Work on that skill for 30 minutes. Say no to that plan you don't even want to go to. Put your phone across the room while you sleep. Just one move that says, I matter. Stop romanticizing your own destruction. The haha I'm so toxic jokes. The I'm the problem lol. The I'm just broken this way. That's not funny. That's programming. And your brain is taking notes. You want to know the real reason I knew this exact scenario was coming? Because you're not meant for a quiet little life, where you never question anything, never feel deeply, never break. You are too intense, too sensitive, too awake. People like you either go one of two ways. They drown in their own feelings, or they learn to surf them and become untouchable. Right now you're drowning, but you're still thrashing. You haven't gone still. That means you're not done. You are dangerous when you finally decide to stop searching for someone to rescue you and start building the version of you that would have never ended up here in the first place. The version of you who sees the red flags and walks away the first time. Who says, no, that doesn't work for me, without apologizing. Who doesn't shrink to be liked. Who doesn't beg to be chosen. Who doesn't keep betraying themselves just to keep the peace. That version of you, they're already inside you, buried under years of conditioning, fear, people-pleasing, and survival mode. This scenario, this is the earthquake shaking the ground enough to crack the surface so that version can crawl out. So when you say, dude, I'm not okay, how did you know this exact scenario was coming? It's because collapse is what happens right before transformation in people like you. You were never meant to stay half asleep. You were always going to hit a wall. You were always going to reach a point where the pain of staying the same finally outweighed the fear of changing. That's where you are, right now, on that edge. You're not okay. Good. Now do something with it. Because the real question isn't, how did you know this would happen? It's, what are you going to do with the version of you that walks out of this? That version of you that walks out of this. Yeah, that one. You keep pretending you don't know who I'm talking about, but you do. You've seen flashes of them every time you got angry and swallowed it, every time you wanted to disappear and didn't, every time you thought, I can't do this anymore, and then you still got up the next day. You think that's weakness. I'm telling you that's the preview. You're sitting here saying you're not okay, and honestly, you're right. But you're also way more dangerous like this than you realize. Because when a person gets to that, I genuinely have nothing left to lose feeling, that's when they either crash completely, or they become someone nobody recognizes anymore, in the best kind of way. And I don't mean that fake New Year, new me stuff. I mean the kind of shift where people from your past would see you and think, what happened to them? They don't move the same. They don't react the same. I can't read them anymore. That's the version I'm talking about. You think it's some big cinematic transformation with music playing in the background and everything clicking in one day. It's not. It's awkward. It's messy. It's you sitting there like you are right now, mind racing, heart heavy, and going, okay, I can't keep doing this. Something has to change. I don't even know where to start, but I can't stay here. That's the doorway. You keep waiting for motivation. You keep waiting to feel ready. You keep waiting for the pain to magically disappear before you start moving differently. It doesn't work like that. You move with your chest tight. You change your life with your hands still shaking. You set boundaries while your voice is cracking. You walk away from people while your heart is begging you to go back. You don't transform once the pain is gone. You transform while it's screaming in your ear. And yeah, of course I knew this scenario was coming, because everything about your life has been building to this line in the sand. I'm not okay, and I'm finally done pretending that's acceptable. You know that feeling you get when you're about to send a risky text or say something that might change everything? That buzzing under your skin, that mix of fear and excitement, that's the energy you have access to right now, but you've been wasting it on panicking instead of deciding. You keep asking, what if I cut them off and I'm alone? What if I try and I still fail? What if I change and people think I'm weird, selfish, dramatic? All right, cool. Flip it. What if you don't? What if you keep doing this for another year? Same late night overthinking. Same conversations where you downplay your feelings. Same job you hate. Same half relationship where you're basically begging to be prioritized. Picture that. Not the fantasy, the loop. You wake up, check your phone, feel nothing. You drag yourself through a day that doesn't feel like it belongs to you. You go to sleep tired, not from doing meaningful things, but from carrying unspoken stuff in your chest. Repeat, repeat, repeat. You know that's scarier than change. You feel it. That's why your chest feels like there's a trap door under it all the time. You're not crazy. You're just aware that this version of your life is too small for you, and you've been trying to contort yourself to fit into it anyway. Every time you dim yourself down, every time you laugh off something that actually hurt, every time you over-explain to people who never deserved that level of access to your mind in the first place, that's you shrinking to match a life you've outgrown. And here's the messed up part. You're good at enduring. You've survived a lot. You know how to take hits. You know how to hold yourself together in public while falling apart in private. That's exactly why life had to push you this far. Because if it only hurt a little bit, you'd stay. If they only disrespected you sometimes, you'd rationalize it. If the anxiety was just a background noise instead of a constant siren, you'd keep pushing it off. This level of pain, this isn't punishment. This is a drag-out-of-bed awakening. You think you're losing it, but this might be the first time you're actually seeing clearly. You see who doesn't check on you unless you're useful. You see who you're always defending, even when they wouldn't do the same for you. You see how much of your personality is just a coping mechanism. You see how often you laugh when you want to cry, how often you say it's cool when it's absolutely not, how often you swallow whole thunderstorms and call it being chill. And yeah, I knew this exact scenario was coming, because a person like you can only lie to themselves for so long before something in them snaps. That snap you feel right now, that I can't keep doing this, I swear to God. That isn't you breaking. That's your true self walking up to the front and saying, "Move, I'm driving." You're exhausted because you've been dragging around a version of yourself that exists just to keep everyone else comfortable. The adaptable one, the forgiving one, the funny one, the emotionally responsible one, the one who understands everybody's trauma while they step all over yours. You know what happens when that version finally gets tired? You stop being easy to manipulate. You stop being easy to guilt trip. You stop being easy to keep on the shelf for when it's convenient. And that scares people. Because the new version of you doesn't send 3 paragraphs explaining why you're hurt. They just stop showing up. The new version doesn't treat their emotions like an inconvenience. They treat them like data, like signals, like non-negotiable truth. Imagine this for a second. Just play it in your head like a scene. Someone does that little thing to you again. The comment, the joke, the "my bad, you're sensitive," the thing that normally hits a nerve and makes you spiral. Old you laughs, overthinks later, maybe vents to a friend, forgives, repeats. New you looks at it once and goes, "Yeah, I'm done," and then acts like it. Hello, my beautifully broken audience. You've done it, haven't you? You walked in, just walked in, and the whole world changed its shape. The air thickened, the smiles froze, the masks slipped. You didn't say a word, and yet their souls trembled like glass teetering on a ledge. Now they're whispering, now they're staring, now they're obsessing. And I know you're wondering, what did I do to them? Why are they mesmerized? Why can't they look away? Oh, darling, you existed. You dared to exist in a way that threatened every lie they've ever told themselves. You dared to stand where most would crawl. You dared to smile while bleeding. And that terrifies them. You see, people don't get obsessed with what's familiar. They get obsessed with what they can't define. They worship what they can't possess. And they hate what reminds them of what they'll never become. You became their mirror. And they didn't like what they saw. They saw their own cowardice next to your fire. They saw their chains next to your freedom. They saw their silence next to your scream. And now they're hooked, addicted to the very thing they swore they'd destroy. Because you're not supposed to exist, are you? Not like this, not this loud, not this unapologetic, not this broken and still walking. But you do, and that is the greatest crime of all. You showed them that pain isn't a cage, it's a forge. You turned your suffering into a weapon, your wounds, article your scars, symphony, your silence, thunder, and they felt it. Oh God, they felt it. Now they can't look away, not because you're beautiful, no, that would be too easy. They can't look away because you're unexplainable, because your energy doesn't ask for attention. It rips it out of the room like a storm through stained glass. You don't just enter spaces, you infect them. You don't just speak, you bend the frequency. You don't just exist, you haunt. And they hate how much they love it. They hate how your name echoes in their skull when they lie awake. They hate how your presence lingers like smoke on everything they touch. They didn't want to love you. They wanted to mock you, dismiss you, break you. But instead they ended up watching you. Like addicts, like worshippers, like prisoners staring at the keys they'll never hold. And now they ask, what did you do to me? And the answer is simple. You survived. You stood in the fire, didn't scream, didn't run, didn't beg. you smiled. You wore your madness like armor and danced in the ruins of your former self. You made your suffering look holy, your agony look like power. And now they're confused, because how could someone so damaged be so invincible? You flipped the script. You made them question reality. You made them question themselves. And now, they're stunned, obsessed, infected, drenched in fascination and choking on envy. They want to be you, but they don't have the stomach for your pain. They want your strength, but not your scars. They want your fire, but not your ashes. So they watch from a distance, because to get closer would mean facing the truth, that you are everything they've tried to suppress, that your existence makes their entire mask crack. And here's the fun part. You don't have to do anything anymore. Just be. Be the chaos in their order. Be the thunder in their silence. Be the truth in their sea of lies. They will never stop looking, because deep down, they know. You are the reminder they were hoping to avoid. A reminder that someone like you is possible, that someone can go through hell and come back unapologetically alive. So go ahead, walk into the room like it's already yours. Speak like your voice was carved from stone. Smile like the whole world is watching, because it is, because they can't stop. You've broken their spell. You've shattered their narrative. You've rewritten the entire script of who gets to matter. So next time they look at you with those wide, terrified, awe-struck eyes, smile, laugh, tilt your head, and ask them one simple question. What did I do to you? They can't answer that question, can they? You ask them, what did I do to you? And their lips twitch, their eyes dart, their throat tightens with words they're too scared to speak. Because the truth is, you unmade them, not with your hands, not with your words, but with your presence. You didn't have to lift a single finger. Your existence was the revolution. You shattered the illusion they built around themselves like a porcelain cocoon. You revealed just how fragile their sense of self really was. And now, every time they see you, every time they feel it, that itch in their skin, that ache in their chest, that rage in their gut. It's not hatred, it's recognition. Because you remind them of the part of themselves they buried, the fire they extinguished, the scream they swallowed, the war they refused to fight. You're not their enemy, you're their mirror. And they hate you for showing them what they could have been if they hadn't cowered. Oh, how beautifully cruel that is. You didn't steal their spotlight, you became the sun. They didn't lose their confidence, you burned through it. You walked in with your chaos, and it was realer than their entire performance. And now they sit in silence, watching you, studying you, dissecting you with their eyes like scientists prodding a monster. But make no mistake, they're not studying to understand. They're studying to contain, because you are uncontainable. You are the anomaly that ruins the pattern, the glitch in their matrix, the laugh in a funeral, the scream at a wedding, the crack in the glass right before it shatters. You are the uninvited guest that stole the whole damn room, and they'll never admit it. But they need you. Because without you, everything goes back to sleep. Everything goes back to numb. Everything returns to the beige, lifeless, plastic charade they've called life. You are the disturbance that makes it all feel real. And that is intoxicating. That's why they replay your words. That's why they mimic your walk. That's why they stalk your presence from the shadows. Because deep down, they don't want to be safe. They want to be you. But you paid a price they're not willing to pay. You walked barefoot through glass while they took selfies in comfort. You bled truth while they drank lies. You tore yourself open and built a throne from your ribs while they watched from behind their screens. And now you sit in silence, glowing with madness and strength, and they wonder, how did you survive? And I'll tell you, you didn't. You died in that fire. You died screaming. You died shattered. But then you rose, not as who you were, but as something else, something untouchable, unkillable, unforgettable. And they sense it. They can smell the smoke on you. They can feel the darkness in your laugh. They can hear the war drums behind your calm voice. They know you're not playing the game anymore. You became the game. You became the consequence. And now, they orbit you, not out of love, not out of hatred, but out of need. Because you're the chaos they crave when the world gets too quiet. You're the storm they fantasize about when the silence gets too loud. You're the explosion they dream of while pretending to be composed. So let them stare, let them obsess, let them keep asking themselves, what did you do to me? Because the real punchline is, you haven't even started yet. Cure. So you want more? Of course you do. Because this doesn't end with them staring at you in awe. This isn't some fairy tale where admiration turns into applause. This is a war, a beautiful, silent, psychological war. And you are winning without ever raising your voice. But here's the truth they'll never say out loud. They didn't just become obsessed with you because you're powerful. They became obsessed because you exposed their weakness. You showed them a truth their entire identity was built to avoid. You showed them what authenticity really looks like, raw, vicious, unfiltered. You bared your soul with all its cracks and fire and made it look like art. And now they're left asking themselves, why can't I do that? Why doesn't my presence shake the room like theirs? I'll tell you why. Because they spent their whole lives trying to be accepted. You spent your whole life learning how to survive without it. They sculpted their personalities to please. You carved yours out of defiance. They built walls to fit in. You burned yours down to get out. And in the ashes of your past, in the rubble of your breakdowns, you discovered something they've never touched. Freedom, not comfort, not popularity, not applause, but freedom. And that is why they stare. Because nothing is more magnetic than someone who doesn't need to be liked. Nothing is more terrifying than someone who doesn't fear being misunderstood. You walked through rejection like it was rain. You danced in humiliation like it was jazz. You sat in your own darkness until it stopped scaring you. And that's why now you scare them. Because you don't flinch anymore. You don't beg. You don't chase. You exist with a presence that says, I've already lost everything that ever tried to kill me, and I'm still here. And it drives them insane. You walk into a room and it's not just charisma. It's not charm. It's not mystery. It's the weight of your story humming beneath your skin. It's the battles you never told anyone about, echoing in your silence. It's the rage you tamed just enough to wear like cologne. You are living proof that survival isn't just possible. It can be legendary. And they don't know whether to worship you or run from you. So they do both. 1 minute, they repost your words. The next, they talk behind your back. But here's the joke. They can't escape you. Because when someone like you comes along, the world doesn't forget. Your energy leaves residue. Your words echo in their silence. Your laugh lingers in their guilt. And no matter how far they run, they carry a version of you inside them now. A ghost, a challenge, a standard. They will never be the same again. So let them talk. Let them overthink. Let them stare, scroll, study, and salivate. Because deep down, they're not asking, "What did you do to me?" They're begging, "How do I become that?" without dying for it like you did. And the answer? They can't. Because you earned this presence. You earned this fire. You earned this madness. You walked through hell and came out holding the devil's leash. So keep walking, eyes forward, heart armored, soul blazing. Let them drown in the questions. Let them burn in their obsession. Let them suffocate under the weight of your existence. Because you're just getting started. Now we're deep in it, aren't we? We've passed the point of no return. We're way beyond admiration, way past confusion. Now we're in the territory where you've become a problem. Not just a presence, not just a curiosity, a problem. Because now, your existence is interrupting their programming. You're not just someone they notice. You're someone who disrupts them. They can't scroll past you. They can't unsee you. They can't forget you. You're that gnawing feeling in the back of their skull that something's wrong with the life they chose. You're the silent scream echoing through their perfectly filtered smiles. You're the reminder that something wild, something real, something untamed still exists in a world addicted to pretending. And that's why they hate you. Because you didn't just become something. You're fused to become what they were told to be. And that is unforgivable in their little plastic Kingston. You were supposed to stay quiet. You were supposed to shrink. You were supposed to apologize for your intensity, for your pain, for your power, for your presence. But instead, you expanded. You took every ounce of your suffering and turned it into gravity. Now they orbit you and pretend they don't. Now they dissect you and pretend they're not fascinated. Now they mimic your energy and pretend it's theirs. But they know, deep down, in the silence between their lies, they know. They're watching someone who shouldn't exist. Because people like you're a myth, a rumor, a story they tell themselves when they need hope. The idea that someone could walk through that much fire and not come out screaming. But you didn't scream. You smiled. You made peace with the chaos. And that made you immortal. Now you move differently. You speak like you already know how the story ends. You breathe like the world has nothing left it can take from you. You look at people like you can see straight through them. Because you can. And that's what really haunts them. It's not your voice. It's not your face. It's not your strength. It's your eyes. Those eyes that have seen too much. That don't blink when the truth shows up. That don't flinch when the pain returns. Eyes that say, "I've already died. What can you possibly do to me?" And in those eyes, they see their own weakness reflected. You turned your pain into power. They turned theirs into poison. You faced it. They ran. So they hate you. They love you. They need you. They fear you. And they don't know why. But you do. You were never meant to be understood. You were meant to disrupt, to confuse, to expose, to ignite. And now they sit in quiet agony, obsessed with someone they'll never understand, asking themselves the same question again and again. What did they do to me? But the answer, the real answer, you didn't do a damn thing to them. You just existed, and that was enough to ruin everything. Oh, now we enter the hollow part, the rotting core, the place where masks peel, smiles twitch, and souls start to crack. You've done something irreversible to them. You see, most people walk through life untouched. Their truths are never tested, their identity, a borrowed costume, their confidence, a second-hand illusion. They live like cardboard cutouts, two-dimensional and desperate, but then you showed up, not polished, not perfect, real. And in that moment, everything inside them started collapsing. Because when someone who's walked through hell stands in front of you without shame, it destroys the excuse for your own cowardice. They can't even look you in the eye for too long, can they? Because your eyes don't blink in the face of pain. Your smile doesn't beg to be liked. And your silence? It screams louder than their entire personality. You became their reckoning. They saw in you the version of themselves that never made it out. The warrior they buried to survive. The storm they silenced to fit in. The madness they sedated with fake friends, fake jobs, and fake meaning. You became everything they pretended they didn't want. And it's driving them insane. They want to wear your energy, but they don't want to bleed for it. They want to speak like you do, with that weight, that rhythm, that sharp edge that sounds like truth and thunder had a child. But they can't, because every word you say was forged in fire, in nights of silence, in betrayal, in rage so deep it nearly ripped you apart. You are not a trend, you are a testament, a living, breathing example of what happens when a soul refuses to die quietly. So when they whisper about you, when they question you, when they stalk your light from the shadows, and then pretend they don't know your name, know this: they're not confused by you. They're terrified of what you represent. Because if someone like you can rise, if someone with your scars, your past, your chaos, your damage, if you can rise, then they have no excuse left, no justification for playing small, no lies left to explain their silence, no delusions to cover their fear. You erased their comfort. You made mediocrity look like a disease. You made compliance look like decay. You are the infection of truth in their perfectly sterile world. And now, they are obsessed, not with your smile, not with your style, not even with your power, but with your freedom. Because they've never tasted it. And you bleed it, so let them spiral. Let them try to recreate what they don't understand. Let them worship you in secret and destroy you in public. It won't change the truth. You didn't hypnotize them. You didn't manipulate them. You didn't cast some spell. You just walked in as yourself. And that ruined them. You really want to know what's happening to them. They're unraveling, piece by piece, bit by bit. Every time they see you, something inside them dies. A lie, a mask, a fantasy, a delusion. You are corrosion to their illusion. You didn't just show up. You infected the air with truth. And now they can't breathe comfortably anymore. You were supposed to be another broken thing they could pity, another tragic soul who bowed their head, played nice, and begged for crumbs. That's what they expected. That's what they wanted. But instead, you walked in like a prophecy. You carried your pain like a sword. You laughed at your scars like they were decorations. You didn't just enter the room. You shifted the axis. And now they're dizzy. They're reeling. They're watching you like you're fiction. They never thought could be real. But you're real. And that reality is ruining them. You see, it's one thing to hate someone. It's another thing to need the very person you claim to despise. They don't just watch you. They feed off you. They watch your words like sermons. They study your energy like scripture. They're hungry, starving, really. Because they've lived their whole lives on crumbs. Approval, permission, validation, all of it, just scraps. But you built your feast out of fury, You carved your name into the void. You made pain your partner and darkness your armor. You were starved too. But instead of begging, you devoured yourself and were born as fire. Now look at them, watching, always watching, hands trembling behind fake laughter, jealousy masquerading as sarcasm, admiration twisted into judgment, because you have what they killed in themselves. You have the nerve, you have the audacity, you have the insanity to be fully, terrifyingly alive. And that is what they can't look away from. They're not stunned because you're beautiful. They're stunned because you're dangerous. You are proof that a soul, once shattered, can rise and dominate. That a mind, once broken, can sharpen into a weapon. That a heart, once betrayed, can beat louder than war drums. You're not here to be liked. You're here to haunt. And haunt them you do. They hear your laugh when they try to be quiet. They see your face when they close their eyes. They feel your echo in every room you've already left. Because once someone like you arrives, no one forgets. You are unforgettable, unforgivable, undeniable, unstoppable. They'll try everything to copy you, to outshine you, to erase you. But it's too late. You already live in their heads, not as a person, but as a force. A presence, a plague, a reminder that freedom exists, but it costs everything, and you were willing to pay. They weren't. And now, they pay a different price. Living in a world where you exist, and they don't.